Let me tell you something, nobody gives a damn about your problems. And if they say they do, they're either lying or waiting for you to fail so they can feel better about their own miserable lives. You walk around spilling your problems to everyone like it's their responsibility to fix them. But listen to me, people aren't interested in your struggles, they're too busy dealing with their own. The harsh truth, the more you complain, the weaker you look. And weak people get ignored, overlooked, and left behind. Nobody cares about your problems. That's the truth that most people can't handle. They walk around thinking the world owes them understanding, that someone will come along, pat them on the back, and tell them it's going to be okay. But reality doesn't work that way. The moment you open your mouth to complain, the moment you start pouring out your struggles, people stop listening. They nod, they smile, but inside they're already thinking about something else, something that actually matters to them. You think your problems are unique. You think the weight you carry is heavier than everyone else's. Look around. Every single person you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. They wake up with worries, with fears, with pressure that crushes them, yet they keep moving. They don't have time to shoulder your burdens when their own lives are demanding everything they've got. You are not the center of anyone's world except your own, and the faster you understand that, the faster you'll stop looking for pity and start looking for solutions. People aren't cold-hearted. They're just occupied. They don't mean to ignore your pain. They just don't have the bandwidth to carry it for you. You think your suffering deserves attention, but here's the brutal truth. Attention is given to those who inspire, not to those who complain. The moment you position yourself as a victim, you become invisible. People don't rally around weakness, they rally around strength. They follow those who rise, not those who sink. You want to talk about your problems? Fine, but watch how fast the room clears out. Nobody wants to be weighed down by someone else's misery. Misery is contagious, and people will do anything to avoid catching it. But success, confidence, power, those are magnetic. You've seen it before, the person who walks into a room with a fire in their eyes, with an aura of purpose. That's the person who commands attention, not the one slouched over, dumping their problems on anyone who will listen. There's a reason winners don't complain. They know nobody is coming to save them. They understand that the only way out is through. They don't waste time seeking sympathy, because sympathy doesn't change circumstances, action does. While you're busy listing all the reasons you're struggling, someone else is out there solving their problems, turning obstacles into stepping stones, refusing to be defined by hardship. People respect resilience. They admire those who take hits and keep standing. Look at history, look at the people the world remembers. Are they the ones who cried about how unfair life was? Or are they the ones who stood up and fought? The world remembers warriors, not whiners. It celebrates those who push through adversity, not those who drown in it. If you want to be noticed, if you want to be respected, stop looking for shoulders to cry on and start building a foundation so strong that nothing can shake you. You are not entitled to understanding. You are not entitled to other people's time, energy, or concern. If you want support, earn it. If you want people to take you seriously, show them why they should. Because the second you start leaning on others to validate your pain, you lose power. The second you make your struggles your identity, you chain yourself to a life of mediocrity. There's no strength in complaining. There's no progress in seeking pity. All it does is keep you stuck in the same cycle, relating the same struggles, waiting for someone else to give permission to move forward. But nobody is going to hand you a roadmap to success. Nobody is going to drag you out of your misery. You have to do that yourself. The most dangerous thing you can do is rely on others for emotional support. Because when that support vanishes, and you'll be left with nothing but your own excuses. You have to build yourself up so that no matter who walks away, no matter who ignores you, no matter who turns their back on you, you keep moving forward. The world isn't fair. It never has been. But fairness doesn't determine success, it does. You can choose to see life as an uphill battle where you're constantly fighting to be heard. Or you can choose to rise above the noise, to stop explaining yourself, to stop expecting people to care. Because the moment you stop seeking validation, you become untouchable. The moment you stop needing people to listen to your problems, you gain the freedom to fix them on your own terms. This is the truth they don't tell you. The more you talk about your problems, the weaker you become. The more you focus on what's wrong, the more powerless you feel. But the moment you shift your focus, the moment you decide that your problems don't define you, you take back control. You become unstoppable. You stop waiting for someone to listen, someone to understand, someone to give you permission to succeed. You start creating your own path. You are not helpless. You are not broken. You are not a victim unless you choose to be. Every second you waste complaining is a second you could have spent changing your life. The choice is yours. Stay stuck in the illusion that people care, or wake up and realize that the only person responsible for your success, your happiness, your future is you. Every time you open your mouth to complain, you are branding yourself as weak. Every time you talk about how unfair life is, you are telling the world that you are powerless. And here's the truth: weakness is ignored, weakness is overlooked, weakness is erased. The world does not remember the complainers. It does not celebrate those who cry about their problems. It moves past them, leaves them behind, and forgets they ever existed. Look around you. The most successful, the most respected, the most powerful people you know, do they complain? Or do they waste time telling everyone how hard their lives are? No, because they understand that complaining solves nothing. They know that every second spent whining is a second stolen from progress. They refuse to waste energy crying about things they can't control. Instead, they channel that energy into taking action, into dominating, into winning. But the weak, they talk. They complain about their circumstances, about how they were dealt a bad hand, about how life isn't fair. And while they're talking, the strong are working. While they're complaining, the relentless are building. While they're seeking sympathy, the unstoppable are creating a life so powerful that they don't need anyone's approval. Nobody respects a complainer. Nobody follows a leader who cries about how hard things are. People are drawn to those who rise above adversity, who take responsibility, who refuse to be held back. The moment you start complaining, you lose influence, you lose respect, you shrink in the eyes of those around you. And once people see you as weak, you will never be taken seriously again. You think people feel sorry for you when you complain? They don't. They tolerate you. They endure your presence, but deep down they don't admire you. They don't respect you. They don't see you as someone worth remembering. They see you as just another voice in the crowd, another person who will never rise above their struggles. There is no power in complaining. There is no strength in broadcasting your problems. The world is not designed to reward weakness. It rewards those who refuse to be defined by their pain. It elevates those who turn obstacles into opportunities. It remembers those who get up, push forward, and dominate despite the odds. You want to stand out. You want to be respected. Then stop complaining. Stop broadcasting your problems. Stop looking for sympathy. Because every time you do, you are making yourself smaller. You are making yourself invisible. You are telling the world that you are not someone to be admired, not someone to be followed, not someone to be remembered. You have a choice. You can be the person who is pitied, or you can be the person who is respected. You can be the person who is forgotten, or you can be the person who is legendary. But you cannot be both. The loudest people in the room are always the weakest. They talk, they brag, they announce every move they're about to make, but when it's time to show results, they have nothing. That's why winners stay quiet. They don't waste energy explaining their plans, justifying their grind, or proving their worth. They work. They execute. They build in silence. And when the results come, the world has no choice but to notice. Weak people need attention. They crave validation. They want the world to know they're struggling. They want applause for their effort. They want sympathy before they've even won. But winners? They don't care if anyone is watching. They don't need motivation from others. Their hunger, their vision, their purpose is enough. Silence is power. The moment you start talking too much, you give away your energy. You let doubt creep in. You invite criticism, opinions, distractions that don't serve you. That's why the strongest people keep their mouths shut and their heads down. They don't need to announce their moves, because they know action is the only thing that matters. You ever see a lion announce its attack? No, it moves in silence. It studies. It waits. And when the moment is right, it strikes. That's how winners operate. They don't broadcast their struggles. They don't seek approval. They don't explain themselves. They move with precision, with patience, with power. And when the world finally sees what they've been building, it's already too late, because they've already won. You think people respect words? They don't. They respect results. They respect proof. They respect those who show up day after day, putting in work without expecting applause. The ones who don't need to be seen because they know they are inevitable. Look at history. The greatest achievers weren't the ones screaming for attention. They were the ones who disappeared for months, for years, mastering their craft, building their empire, creating something undeniable. And when they finally emerged, there was nothing left to say, because their work said it all. You want success? Shut up and work. You want respect? Stop talking and start producing. You want to be remembered? Let your results do the talking. Because words are forgotten, but achievements are eternal. Nobody has ever built an empire by crying for sympathy. Nobody has ever changed their life by waiting for someone to feel sorry for them. Success bows to one thing and one thing only: action. Relentless, ruthless, unapologetic action. The moment you start looking for sympathy, you step away from action. You trade power for pity. You trade progress for excuses. And the second you do that, you lose. The world does not care about your struggles. It does not care how hard you've had it. It only recognizes results. It only rewards those who push through regardless of circumstances. Every single person who has ever achieved something great had every reason to quit. Every excuse to stop. Every opportunity to sit back and say, this is too hard. But they didn't. They moved forward when everything was against them. And that's why they won. Sympathy is a drug. It feels good in the moment. It makes you believe you're justified in your struggles. But it keeps you weak. It keeps you dependent. It keeps you in a cycle of waiting for someone else to rescue you instead of rescuing yourself. And the longer you stay addicted to sympathy, the further you fall from success. Action is the cure. No matter how bad your situation is, no matter how unfair life has been, the only way out is through action. You can sit there and cry about how the odds are stacked against you, or you can stand up and fight. The choice is yours. But remember this, nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to give you permission to win. You either take control or you stay stuck. Weak people wait for the right moment. Strong people create it. Weak people look for someone to listen. Strong people let their success make the noise. Weak people complain. Strong people adjust, adapt, and dominate. You want sympathy. Stay broke. Stay small. Stay invisible. You want success. Move. Act. Execute. Because in the end, life doesn't care about your reasons. It only rewards the results. The world doesn't respect excuses. It doesn't respect stories about why you couldn't make it, why things were too hard, why life wasn't fair. It respects strength. It respects those who rise despite the obstacles, those who refuse to be broken, those who don't waste time explaining why they failed, but instead show the world why they succeeded. Every time you give an excuse, you are making yourself smaller. You are telling the world, I am not strong enough to handle this. And people hear that. They feel it. They see you as someone who bends under pressure, someone who lets circumstances dictate their future. And in a world that only respects the strong, that is the quickest way to be ignored, dismissed, and forgotten. Nobody cares about your reasons. Nobody sits around honoring those who almost made it but had good excuses for why they didn't. People admire those who refuse to break, those who take responsibility, those who say, no matter what happens, I will find a way. Because that is strength, that is power. And power is the only language the world understands. Look at history. Look at the names we remember. The people who changed everything. Did they sit around complaining about how unfair life was? Did they make excuses for why they couldn't succeed? No. They pushed forward, they fought, they adapted. They made things happen regardless of how impossible the odds were. And that's why their names live on. Excuses make you forgettable. Strength makes you legendary. Every single time you catch yourself making an excuse, stop. Catch that weakness and kill it. Because excuses are the seeds of failure. They grow into a life of mediocrity. A life where you convince yourself that it wasn't your fault, that the world was just against you. But strength tears through obstacles. Strength finds solutions. Strength is what separates those who make history from those who are erased by it. You want respect, show strength. You want power, eliminate excuses. You want to be remembered. Stand up and take responsibility for your life. Because in the end, the only thing that matters is whether you fought through or gave up. And the world only remembers the fighters. Pain can do two things. It can break you or it can build you. Weak people let pain destroy them. They sit in it, drown in it, and use it as an excuse for why they never became anything. But the strong take that same pain and turn it into something unstoppable. They take every failure, every heartbreak, every setback, and they use it as fuel to become a force that cannot be ignored. Nobody cares how much you've suffered. Nobody is sitting around waiting to hear about your struggles. People respect results. They respect those who take their pain and transform it into something undeniable. You can talk about what you've been through, or you can show what you've become because of it. One makes you a victim. The other makes you a legend. The world does not reward stories of struggle. It rewards those who rise despite it. Every person you admire, every name you respect, they didn't sit around telling people how hard their life was. They let their success tell the story for them. They walked into a room, and their presence alone said, I went through hell, and I came back stronger. Pain is your weapon if you learn how to use it. Most people waste it. They cry about it. They let it paralyze them. But the ones who win, they take every ounce of suffering and pour it into their work. They train harder. They push further. They outwork everyone because they know what it feels like to be at the bottom, and they refuse to stay there. Excuses don't get you respect. Pain doesn't get you respect. Strength does. Results do. Nobody will remember the one who complained about how much they suffered. But they will remember the one who walked through fire and came out unshaken. You have two choices. You can talk about what you've been through, or you can become something so powerful that the world has no choice but to take notice. But you cannot do both. Stop explaining. Stop telling people your pain. Show them what you built from it. Show them why you are unstoppable. Because in the end, words are forgotten. The results, they last forever. Nobody cares what you say you're going to do. Nobody is impressed by promises, by plans, by big talk. The only thing that matters is what you execute. The only thing that gets respect is proof. The weak talk. The strong show. And the difference between success and failure is knowing when to shut up and work. You see it everywhere, people announcing their goals, declaring their ambitions, telling the world what they're about to do. But months pass, years pass, and they're still in the same place. Why? Because they thought words were enough. They thought saying it out loud would make it real. But the truth is, every time you talk instead of act, you lose power. You waste energy convincing others when you should be convincing yourself through results. Real power is silent. It doesn't need to be explained. It doesn't need validation. When you walk into a room, people should feel your presence without you having to say a word. Your work, your discipline, your results should do all the talking. When you truly dominate, you won't have to tell anyone who you are. They'll already know. The most dangerous people in the world aren't the loudest. They're the quiet ones, the ones you don't see coming, the ones grinding in the shadows while everyone else is busy showing off. And when they step forward, they don't have to announce themselves because their results are undeniable. You want respect. Stop explaining yourself. Stop telling people what you're working on. Stop looking for approval. Let them doubt you. Let them overlook you. That's fine. Because when the time is right, your results will make sure they never doubt you again. The world does not believe in potential. It believes in proof. Nobody cares what you could do. Nobody remembers what you planned to do. They only remember what you actually did. So if you're serious, if you're really about winning, stop talking and start proving. Every second spent explaining yourself is a second stolen from your progress. You have nothing to prove with words. You have everything to prove with results. And the moment you understand that, you become unstoppable.